he can do going up against Counter Logic Gaming. Echo Fox, one of those teams tied for first coming into week 4. They were also one of our teams, of course, that did get to play during Rift Rivals. So with a majority of the teams having that week off, Echo Fox was one of the ones that did not. So we'll see how the adaptations that they had against their European competition helps them coming into this game.
And we're already seeing some here in terms of the bans. The ban on Kindred, which is a great champion for Dardoch, but they're going to ban away from ReignOver, and then the Aatrox ban from CLG, and the Pyke ban towards Biofrost. Biofrost is somebody who has played those hook champions, the playmakers before, and Pyke was showing up in the meta a bit in the bottom lane, but Fiddlesticks has their first pick.
Fiddlesticks locked in for Echo Fox. It's Nocturne, along with the Kindred and the Pyke that's banned away by Fox. Counter Logic Gaming taking the Morgana and the Zoe away, as well as that Aatrox that honestly, people were talking, Zirene, when this champion first got reworked, they're like, oh, the timing for this feels unfortunate because the champion's finally seeing pro play. I wonder what the rework will look like. Turns out it only made him a lot better, as he's now at the point where he is just seen all the time, pick or ban. Counter Logic Gaming, of course, without that, able to pick this time around. They did ban it away. They'll lock in the Taliyah.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are picked or banned, the Taliyah is the second highest presence right now. Actually, the most banned champion across the EU LCS and the LCK this week on this patch. So we're going to see that in the hands of ReignOver, potentially a flex pick as well. And then I do like the Rakan here because that would force you to pick a Xayah to break up the combination, and it can be a funnel too. But Echo Fox, if they know the Heimerdinger Fiddlesticks bottom lane, that's something that could really work out well for them. It's a very powerful and oppressive lane coming from Europe.
Let's see exactly how they want to continue going about this draft here. Oh, baby, there we go. All right. Zirene called a shot, and there it is. Heimerdinger locked in for Echo Fox. And during Rift Rivals, NA went a combined 0-7 against Heimerdinger and Aatrox. Against those champions, we were not able to find any wins, so I really like the fact that one of our representatives from that event has said, hey, these champs are really damn good. Let's learn how to play them.
Yeah, also, CLG didn't go to Rift Rivals. Echo Fox is saying, we're gonna show you what Rift Rivals was like.
Let us bring you the Rift Rivals experience during regular Week 4 play as they lock in the Mundo as well. We've seen so much of him in the top lane. So tanky, so hard to kill, especially if your opponents delay grievous wounds past those first couple of items. And Counter Logic Gaming is going to pick the Darius into that.
Yeah, the Darius into the Mundo top lane, a pretty good champion to play into it. Darshan versus potentially Huni. Now here's the thing, is Altec played Dr. Mundo for them back in their very first game of the split, and there could be some swapping around here. It depends if Altec knows Heimerdinger, because you can do a bunch of swaps depending on if somebody knows the champion or
what if Huni is the donger?
Exactly. What if Huni is the donger? That's the question on everybody's mind right now.
I mean, we've seen the man play just about everything. I would not be too surprised to see Heimer in his tool belt as well, but we have one more ban to get through before we get to the rest of the picks. It's Xayah and Swain banned out by Echo Fox. Counter Logic Gaming taking out the Talon and the Camille. Talon, of course, being one of those champions that you already mentioned that we're seeing with this sort of proliferation of smite mids that may not necessarily be a full funnel. He's one of the ones that can make it work just on his own.
Yeah, somebody who can clear the Raptors with AoE level 1 and instantly get level 2 and walk into lane. So there's a decent handful of assassins that can do it. But I think the worry was if they were able to pick something like a Talon, then you have this triple lane swap happen where if Altec plays the Mundo, then Damonte plays Heimer, and then you have Huni on an assassin mid laner. That would be very scary and makes it pretty hard to prepare for Echo Fox. The desk was talking about if there's stuff you could take away from watching Echo Fox's play at Rift Rivals. I think there's very little to actually take away because you had Phoenix in the mid lane the whole time. You had Huni underperforming, and then you also had Altec without Feng in the bottom lane. So it's actually almost a completely different bottom side of the map here.
One thing I do really like seeing on the side of Echo Fox is Dardoch being given a champion that is not a funnel support. Seeing him be able to play something that can have that more traditional jungle impact on the game like the Graves is where you want to see a player that got the kind of accolades that Dardoch got during Rift Rivals. And now we'll see where Echo Fox decides to put all these members.
All right, I think Huni will be playing mid lane Yasuo, Altec will be playing Dr. Mundo top, and Damonte will be playing Heimerdinger bottom. That's what I think will happen.
All right, we're going to put that one down as a bet. We're going to check in once that ends up being switched around. Counter Logic Gaming's final pick is going to be the Varus there for the AD carry position. Honestly, pretty standard-looking composition from back before the great shakeups of 2018 for the meta. You could see this and say, oh, that looks pretty normal, except for the whole Darius thing. But, I mean, he's still, his archetype of characters still fits in. You've got a fighter top, you've got a fighter in the jungle, mage mid, while over on the side of Echo Fox, things are a little bit more different. So it seems
they might actually just have it be in this order. That's the funny thing, is that Echo Fox don't make any champion swaps here. That's the unusual part.
Yeah, the not swapping is more of a surprise than the swapping.
They didn't swap. Yasuo picked up. It's not going to Huni, it's going to Damonte. And this might be indicative of, Damonte's on the team, and Huni has had so much confidence in his Yasuo play to the point where he's like, nobody has as good of a Yasuo as I do, especially in the NALCS. And being able to give that over to Damonte and not swap roles, we might be able to see what Damonte's made of, but also that could be something that's reflecting on Huni's confidence, because he's had 4 really bad games in a row.
Right, we saw during the competition at Rift Rivals, Huni's stats for top lane were just not where you expected them to be. He continually picked the Renekton in the Aatrox matchup, was unable to find success or victory there, and things just weren't coming up the way people expected, especially NA fans who normally see Huni and think of, oh my god, this guy's a playmaker, this guy's a superstar. He just wasn't there.
Yeah, but if you are a CLG fan, and if you are Darshan, you are definitely happy that you're
you can smell blood in the water.
Yeah.
You can smell blood in the water at that point. If Huni's at a point where he's not at the top of his game, this is Darshan's chance to give him the dunk.
And Darshan wants to have that 1v1 matchup against him, because their head-to-head record, 7-8, very close for somebody of Huni's caliber, especially when he's been dominating the NALCS since he got here on Immortals. But now, Darshan, he doesn't have him dodge the matchup. That's one of the ones where you're like, 1v1 me top lane, and then the guy ends up mid. It's like, you scared?
It's like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
Not scared is what it seems like here. Huni's going to go up against him. And like I said, for CLG, I think that's good. Counter matchup there in the top lane. And Darshan, somebody who's actually been able to kind of neutralize Huni in the past.
And even if Huni does get ahead, they do have on the side of CLG the classic Trundle versus one tank composition lineup, which makes the targeting for ReignOver's ultimate pretty simplistic when it comes to these team fights.
And something else that I've just noticed here, triple cleanse. Mr. Clean composition for CLG here.
Targeted fears are not fun.
No, they are not. And those aren't even combined with a summoner spellbook. So those are permanent cleanses that Biofrost, Stixxay, and Huhi will have here to deal with the crowd control from Feng. So instead of going for something like a QSS and saying this is going to tax my build, they're just saying, let's just get it out of the way, summoner spell. Because you look at the rest of the CC on the team. Mundo's got none. Graves has none. There's a knockup, but I don't believe you can cleanse that. And then the Heimerdinger grenade.
And Fear into Grenade, especially if there's turrets nearby, is an absolutely nasty combination. Since the grenade primes the turrets with the laser, allows them to get off that big burst of damage, those two chain CCing themselves with that combination can set you up for a spot that you don't want to be in whatsoever. I fully respect the cleanse pickups here coming out from multiple members of CLG.
Yeah, look at what just happened here for Echo Fox. Altec has the red buff, level 1. Set it up, and then Dardoch counter jungled the red buff. So now when ReignOver goes over to get a buff on the opposite side and try to get a red buff on his Trundle, he can't.
There's nothing to find.
Nothing for him.
His bot lane's likely already told him, hey, that plan's not going to work, just go for Scuttlecrab.
If they didn't, I would be very scared, because this Heimerdinger walked into lane. He's
it's like, hey, where did I forget this?
Yeah.
So level 2 for Altec and Feng already on the Heimerdinger and the Fiddlesticks. This duo together, you already mentioned how we saw the European teams play this effectively. Now, how well did Echo Fox learn exactly how to do that strategy, as ReignOver does walk towards the red?
Why?
Okay. He knows it's not there, but he goes anyway.
I mean, the Heimerdinger couldn't have gotten a red buff anywhere else. That just seems like he didn't even place a ward or anything. That actually seems like a really big kind of oversight. I don't think there's a reason for him to be there.
Ends up wasting him a few seconds. He does still manage to steal away the chicken camp, at least get something from Dardoch's side of the map, but Dardoch still ahead in terms of farm, grabbing his own blue buff, heading towards the top side here. Both of these top laners are rather immobile, but Darshan's not playing the lane in a way that puts him in a super vulnerable spot just yet. Dardoch coming around from behind, decides he'll head over to the Krugs first.
Yeah, he goes over to the Krugs, but also Huhi, he's going to go ahead and throw out the Scryer's Bloom. It looks like it's the all clear there. So this might actually make Darshan play further up, because he just went for the Scryer's Bloom, and it looked like Graves was not on that side of the map.
At the same time, though, ReignOver is heading up towards this area. Sweeping out through the tribe rush. Does not end up seeing Dardoch with that. This could turn into a 2v2 very quickly. Both junglers make their way into the mix as the fight starts off. Darshan's already found the level 4 advantage. Huni's going to be taken down before Dardoch can even make his way towards the fight.
And that's a first blood onto Huni, who, honestly, this guy plays so aggressive, but right there, he was just baited into a fight, and he just got chunked out before it even started.
Level 3 compared to the level 4 Darius. He just got in a fight that you can't win. There's nothing that's going to happen when ReignOver gets there slightly earlier as well. Very well done coming out from the side of CLG. Let's take another look.
Yeah. See, Darshan actually just has the Conqueror stacked up. Then he has it dropped, so it's not even like a gigantic Conqueror thing. That's almost just a straight-up 1v1 there. Huni was walking forward, not expecting ReignOver to be on that side of the map. That was really good from ReignOver to path in that direction and go across and knock his spot in. Ooh, the bounces. Whew.
If you're a CLG fan, things are going the way you're expecting them to go with this early game team, grabbing an early game lead, getting that first blood.
Yeah, I mean,
bottom side, Biofrost got to be careful with those rockets.
CLG have so many first bloods. I believe they actually have gotten first blood in every single one of their games. They have the #1 score lines in terms of early game and being able to just get an advantage. But CLG have always suffered the split in those mid-game fights. That's where they lose those games. I think back to the week that they played FlyQuest, their last game that they played in the NALCS. They were ahead, and then it just came down to these fights over and over and over again where they ended up losing. And that's the opposite for EchoFox. EchoFox are not that great early, but it's the mid-game fights where they group up where they shine.
It's their team fighting capability, their ability to work together as 5 and find victory even when they're behind. Part of that is because they have decision-making that other teams might not execute on. And one decision that I want to comment on right now is we see ReignOver heading towards the top side, going to force the flash away from Huni. Very, very fast executioners calling from Darshan. I openly criticize teams and players for not building this item early enough against something like Mundo, against something with that heavy of healing. You cannot get it any earlier than this. He has gone from the Doran's Blade starter item immediately into Executioner's Calling to make sure that any time Huni wants to be that big, beefy meatball on the front line, he's going to have a hard time doing it.
Yeah, and the fact that he's behind as well, the kill onto him is going to put him in a decently bad spot, and then you also have Darshan with that 200 extra gold in his pocket from the assist on the first blood. So that really does help him get off the ground and kind of get this going. And now they're going to camp Huni, who has no flash. He's not level 6 yet. Dardoch is there, but he's walled off.
Weaver's wall comes in to separate them.
It's good that Dardoch's there. It really does prevent them from going, and that's going to get Damonte mid-shove. And Huhi doesn't really have that much mana, so once he gets back to lane, he's going to have to shove. Okay, they're going to give him the honey fruit. Perfect. So he'll actually have enough here to match the wave in time, I would assume.
Worked out well enough for Huhi getting back there. I like the attempt from CLG, but Dardoch reading that situation well means that EchoFox will not fall any further behind than they already were. Damonte not going to find the Steel Tempest damage coming out there. As you can see, the farm stays pretty even here in the solo lanes. Bottom lane just point for point as well in terms of those farm values, as Stixxay and Biofrost will be kept underneath their turret by the push power of Altec and Feng, but that's kind of the nature of Heimerdinger as a champion that people didn't really get to see at a high level, at a professional level for a very long time. You only ever saw it very rarely in solo queue, so you kind of forget just how strong this champion's pretty.
Yeah, it's incredibly strong, and he's going to keep pushing up, and now you can see Damonte and Dardoch are actually taking away the blue buff here on the opposite side of the map, or the same side of the map, the opposite side of the map from their own. And ReignOver's not actually going to see this in time. But one of the things about Heimerdinger is the Airy, Scorch, plus just spreading the rockets across the lane. You want one of those rockets to hit people, and that's kind of the primary source of damage, and it does kind of take up the whole lane. We'll see Altec, he's been doing this where he doesn't aim at somebody, he aims like that, and so it spreads out on the opposite side. And then Scorch will go off, decent amount of poke damage, to the point where I look at the inventory of Stixxay, and I'm like, he's got Vamp Scepter, and he had 3 health potions when he came back to lane. He's just spending a lot of money on consumables to just keep himself alive and sustain in this matchup where a lot of it is the poke from Fiddlesticks. So it really is something where it's going to tax your inventory a bit just to try and survive the lane phase.
Stixxay has been doing a good job for himself so well. Does even have the CS advantage, albeit ever so slightly, as Huhi and ReignOver move up into the enemy jungle. They already lost their blue buff to EchoFox. They want to try to return the favor now. Moving up towards this one, trying to take it away. ReignOver's able to find that. Dardoch returning some fire here, does dash himself over the wall to avoid the threaded volleys. ReignOver now also retreating away from these trophies being thrown as Darshan goes forward with the flash. Remember, the Grievous Woo means the dunk comes down, and Damonte's in some trouble. More damage going through onto that one, but the last breath out will seal Darshan's fate as the bleed will tick away. It's a double kill for Darshan as Huhi's taken very low. Dardoch walks up and pops him one with the shotgun as ReignOver looks to run him down, but it is 2 for 2.
Yeah, 2 for 2. Dardoch's actually going to go towards the minion wave and shove it out. And that's going to actually put a delay on ReignOver getting there. But that was a fight where Huni, we're seeing it time and time again now. He ultied earlier. It's like, all right, I'm going to rush into this fight. He just gets pulled in by Darshan. And then he just gets clobbered down. He's just like, he's a meat shield. But they are just cleaving straight through it.
I mean, look at his inventory. There's no armor of any kind to protect against that Darius damage. It's all health, which is great against true damage for the ulti, to be fair. I'll give you that. But you're still going to take a lot of damage from those two together. Let's take another look at how they jump on him here.
Yeah, it's the flash plus apprehend here from Darshan. Flash, apprehend, Huni tried to turn around in time. Then there's the ultimate from ReignOver. Get him low. And this almost gets Damonte killed because all you have to do after you get the full stack or the kill with Darius is just hit another person, and then it instantly applies the full stacks of your passive. So that right there is what got Damonte killed on top of it. So Huni, he'll have his flash in a few seconds here. But the question is where is EchoFox going to find this advantage? Because the bottom lane isn't actually ahead anymore. They have a little bit of a CS deficit. And then on the top side, Huni stayed even in CS, but he's down in kills. And so the top side of the map is looking pretty strong for CLG. The bottom side is kind of, I would say, still favored for EchoFox because of the matchup. But Stixxay has been doing well to weather the storm.
Well, Damonte has also been doing a good job farming up for himself there in the mid lane. So EchoFox also having 1 kill and about a 15 CS lead on their jungler means that maybe mid and jungle together can find a way to make something happen, can find that window, that opportunity to make some sort of a play. Remember, we are talking about Dardoch. We are talking about this player who, when a lot of people were saying Huni, 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 going into our Rift Rivals competition of last week, it was Dardoch, Dardoch, Dardoch that came out on top at the end. He was the one who received accolades and praise from the European players and teams saying, wow, we're really impressed specifically with this guy and how well he plays.
Yeah, honestly, completely warranted too. He did a really good job at Rift Rivals, but at the same time, when I look at his play, sometimes he plays a little bit like he's overplaying in situations. Like the plays that he's been making in this game, I think have been rather smart in terms of just counter jungle, but he's playing towards a losing lane top lane with a Mundo instead of sacrificing the lane. And a lot of that, I think, is because CLG is dictating that. They have a roaming mid laner that wave clears and goes to the side lane. So Huhi will usually have tempo on Damonte, and because CLG want to focus top lane, he's countering there instead of going to this lane that should be shoving. If you go to a Fiddlesticks plus Heimerdinger lane, usually you can come out on top, but I think he's afraid of the cleanses there, so it's not a for sure thing.
ReignOver going in onto Damonte here in the mid lane. Makes sure he gets the subjugate down at the beginning of the fight, and they shred him.
Yeah, he actually tried to get a knock up there is what it looked like, but he went a little bit too far with the E and had actually spent his E very early on in the fight. And that'll be the Rift Herald.
And I feel like almost every time we're panning back towards the top part of the map too, you saw it off to the side of your screen, you can see Huni hobbling away from Darshan with 5 bleeds on him because Darshan is consistently finding these trades, finding these opportunities to trade with his lane opponent, as ReignOver will be left to deal with the Rift Herald here on his own. Goes around behind to smack him in the eyeball one more time, and that is an objective secured for the side of CLG. 20.2 thousand gold to 19.3 thousand gold. It's a decent little 1K lead for these guys, 12.5 minutes into the game. They are down an Ocean Drake. One Ocean Drake is not the end of the world when things are going well enough for you so far. 100% kill participation so far onto ReignOver, who's been putting a lot of work in on this Trundle.
ReignOver's been somebody that we don't really talk about too much anymore, ever since his time when he was with Huni, camping the top lane for him back on Immortals, right? And now it's kind of been, he's been on Team Liquid, he's been on CLG, hasn't had those kind of almost MVP performances that he was having even back in the day on Fnatic, right? So ReignOver, it's kind of been a long time since he's looked in really good form, but right here,
there's the damage coming in, and Dardoch makes sure he seals the deal there with the ultimate. The cleanse was not quite enough, but now can they find a return kill for the side of CLG. Feng goes golden, using the power of the stopwatch, gets himself away from the follow-up damage, only to be shot by the arrow at the very end. And Stixxay finds one for CLG.
That's a canceled TP from Darshan during all of that. He tried to shove the wave and then TP in. Huni actually was in attendance without having to use teleport. He had walked straight there and had just sacrificed the top lane because he's basically just been pushed out of that lane over and over again, doesn't want to have to deal with it. And one of the best ways to just make sure you aren't playing their game is to roam out of that lane that you're losing and make a play elsewhere and be proactive. And you can see he goes for the Trident play here, 3 sides, how they collapse on him, and then it's just this gigantic burst there. Feng, even though the cleanse comes out, doesn't matter. Dardoch has so much damage. And then that was almost a good counter grenade there. That was an upgrade grenade from Altec that didn't actually bounce appropriately. And
that's a lot of damage from the piercing arrow.
A lot of damage.
I was not expecting that to kill him when he was charging it up, but that's the power of the Varus arrow. Once you can manage to get that shot without it colliding on anyone else first. I think that's the most important thing there, is that Feng was the only guy who got hit by that. Stixxay doing a good job weaving that in between everyone else. Puts us at a point in the game where even though Echo Fox were behind earlier, getting that first turret supplemented their goal to a point where now they find themselves with a slight lead.
Yeah, and the fact that they can get that, and Huni actually face checks Darshan, who, oh yeah, that his flash is down, and so Darshan, when his flash is up, which it is now, can make another play like before. And he's going Trinity Force on this Darius. So looking for a lot of damage early on in the game. It does help you actually stack up your bleed faster, too, with the attack speed.
It's a lot of damage. You get to stack the bleed faster. It's good for split pushing because you proc the Sheen onto those turrets. The only thing it's not quite as good at in terms of what Black Cleaver could do is you don't get to shred the armor down like you would otherwise. But like we mentioned earlier, there's only one tank on the enemy team. That tank is more than likely going to be subjugated in every team fight. Darshan just wants to dunk everybody.
Yeah, but his Black Cleaver is ReignOver. That's it.
Yeah,
he gets to go for
ReignOver's ready to go on that front. Darshan should be just fine with the Trinity Force here. I like the pickup, as we'll see CLG potentially looking to make something happen here in the mid lane. Biofrost, having swept out this river brush, is ready to jump over the wall if he finds the chance here. Dardoch won't go any closer towards that one, or will he? No, he'll get himself out just fine.
Yeah, both these supports actually really love just engaging with their ultimate, and for Feng, it's mostly to get in range and then just apply a decent amount of damage. One thing about Fiddlesticks that I do want to talk about is, as he's come into the meta more, a big part of him is the Aftershock. People were running Airy, they were running Comet, and all these other things. But Aftershock is really great because the point and click makes it so when you go in with Fiddlesticks, who doesn't buy a lot of durability, ulti in, then you fear, you're going to get Aftershock. You're going to survive, start drain tanking, and you're actually way more durable during that time.
ReignOver, recognizing the fact that Huni can't stop him from summoning the Rift Herald, decides to just summon it right in front of his opponent. Nothing you can do to stop it. And they take down the tier 1 turret in the top side for CLG. Meanwhile, Echo Fox, recognizing the enemy jungler is top, will collect their second Ocean Druid.
And I think that Fox is going to go for bottom turret right now. They just shoved out mid with their bottom lane, and now Damonte is shoving down the bottom side, and they'll be able to just get this turret that's actually pretty low. So it just means Huni is the one who's left to answer that Rift Herald, who gets a second charge off.
Getting the second charge off means you do get a lot more damage ever since the changes a few patches back to the Rift Herald. So 40% or so of the HP from that top lane turret taken down. But Damonte will put a few clean cuts into this bottom lane tier 1. Take that one down, let it absorb as many minions as possible first, as Dardoch says, I'll just take this one.
And now you gotta wonder what's gonna happen here, because Echo Fox have already caught up in this game despite being down in kills. They're up in tempo and up in turrets. And then as the game progresses, CLG, their issue has been their team fighting, and that has been the good part for Echo Fox. And there's the flash that Darshan has an advantage over Huni.
Goes in yet again. There's no tier 1 turret to protect Huni here. The dunk comes in. Biofrost wants to go after him, find the charm into the knockup, and there you go. The kill comes through for CLG. Picking that one up for Biofrost.
Yeah, they get the kill onto Huni. Question is, how much do they get off of it? Because they don't really have a turret to push unless all of them push down this top lane. But I guess it's just a kill. It's a one and done real quick. No Baron off that, nothing like that. And that means that Darshan, I think he won't have flash for when Baron first spawns. He'll have it a little bit afterward.
Same thing can be said for ReignOver. Both those flashes used there to get a kill that when it doesn't translate into anything else, doesn't feel as good as it could.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, if we monitor it for now, see if it's actually something that's exploited by Echo Fox later, because they have a Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger's Baron is actually pretty disgusting, where you put down a mega turret and a whole bunch of little turrets, and you can kill it pretty much at level 20 with just one other, or sorry, minute 20 with at least one other person there.
Heimerdinger turret fiesta.
Yes.
if Fox gets the chance to, you would think, you would hope that CLG is aware of what Heimerdinger can do, and they'll be looking out for that one. Feng walks a little bit too close to the rush there, takes a lot of damage from the threaded volleys. Altec on the Heimerdinger does have the Luden's Echo completed. Stopwatch also in his inventory. That is a massive item. These days, with so many mages being played in so many different places across the Rift, you're seeing as much Zhonyas and Stopwatch as ever, and a champion like Heimerdinger that has a lot of damage output, even when he's not the one specifically doing the damage, makes wonderful use of it. That can be a team fight turner if he can throw down the big turret, go golden, buy himself a couple of extra seconds, and we'll see if CLG end up falling into that trap. The Trinity Force also completed for Darshan's Darius now, so we will see that power spike also coming through if these guys get themselves into a big fight here soon.
Yeah, for Heimerdinger, a lot of people like the Domination secondary for Taste of Blood and also Ravenous Hunter for Sustain. The turrets really help with that too. But in professional play, it just seems better to go for Biscuit Stopwatch, Biscuits for lane presence, and then the Stopwatch for... You don't really have a lot of disengage tools on Heimerdinger, but if you ever need to put an ulti turret down, you really want to have the Stopwatch there in your back pocket and keep yourself in the game.
Your disengage tool is walk around your turrets and hope they die to them before they kill you. The classic Heimer disengage, the cutie pie special.
People don't realize that you get extra movement speed when you're near those turrets. But,
he tries to block Dardoch off here as a TP will also be coming in from CLG. Echo Fox, Damonte, and Dardoch trying to get themselves away from this one. Going to be channeling a TP of their own. Tier 1 turret under some pressure here. Biofrost going in, able to find the quickness onto multiple members. They've already lost Dardoch. Echo Fox loses 2 immediately. A double kill for Darshan as the rest of the team now has to try to get the hell out of dodge. ReignOver continues chasing down that enemy mid laner. The apprehend comes through. There goes the knockoff. There's not enough fancy feet in the world to get out of that one, and CLG find 3.
That right there was huge. There's so many flashes blown. That's 3 people dead for Fox, and now it's got to be a salvage on the Baron here. CLG are going to try to crack the game open with this play.
Echo Fox does have a Fiddlesticks ultimate. They've got a Heimerdinger. They have ways to try to answer this, but CLG's already got Baron down to about half HP. Altec gets knocked back by the power of the seismic shove, wants to throw in the grenade, does manage to get it in there. Stixxay's going to be taken low. Feng still trying to find the damage, able to find the shutdown. Darshan goes down first. Feng gets that kill, but at the end of the day, it's still 2 for 1. The Baron also going the way of CLG, and that is exactly what this team was looking for.
And they get it. Altec still, I believe, has flash after that, but wasn't able to outplay, and that right there was another situation. Dardoch overplaying, too far forward, exploited by CLG, and now that mid-game team fight, exactly what the doctor ordered.
I think this is right in line with what the desk was talking about too. Win conditions for CLG. Get ahead, grab an early Baron. This is where they need to be. Here's how it happens.
Watch it. Yeah, push the wall down so that the TP isn't blocked. And then the TP comes through from Mundo. Good shove there onto Dardoch, who then can't get away because he E's, the cone comes up. At the same time, they were just putting all that damage inside of the Mundo too. So Huni dies. And then Damonte right here, this was close. Oh, I don't know if he would have killed Huhi anyway, but look at this, Feng, I think he's dead.
Speaking of kills, that Fiddlesticks is going home the hard way as Huni tries to run himself away from this one. Weaver's Wall comes in, has to make him flash over the wall as more damage comes in from Heimerdinger. ReignOver barely walks away from that one. Trundle is just too damn tanky. As Damonte tries to go into the fight, won't be able to quite find anything just yet. Darshan still looking to find the dunk. He gets it, and Stixxay's on a killing spree. It's another 3 kills for nothing for CLG. They'll take the tier 1 as the prize.
That was a hardcore your Yasuo versus my Yasuo. Just because you land the knockoff does not mean you have to take it.
That's one of the plays you don't put in the montage.
But yeah, that's cut the clip. Make sure it's not in there. Talk to your editor. But at the same time, CLG are doing a great job of catching them, and a lot of that is Biofrost. He has this hook on, the snap engages are happening, and he's making it the difference here in these fights, because when you are trying to catch this team before they can get back in the game, you're looking at your hard engage tool. Biofrost catches Feng here with the ultimate and the W. He catches Altec. He runs around. He catches 4 people. He just kind of collects them all.
He makes his round throughout the entirety of the fight. He keeps himself safe, too. He makes the whole thing look easy.
Yeah, and right there, ReignOver survives because of the subjugate. And then, yeah, that's wishful thinking there on that one. But it does bait the team back in. CLG pick up all of the kills, and they are just slaughtering. Huni, 0-5. Damonte, 1-4.
On the other side, CLG has 3 members who have not died, one of which is ReignOver that I'm going to go back to because now 23 minutes into the game, 14 kills deep, still 100% kill participation. Everything this team has done has been with him playing a role in it. He has found wonderful success on the Trundle this game.
Yeah, ReignOver pretty much had a hand in everything like you said. Him and Biofrost, but I think the early game, a lot of that is ReignOver's pathing, because when he got to the top lane before Dardoch did, and Dardoch wasn't aware of it until it was too late, it had baited Huni in, who was already looking for that fight. And so he was able to start the game off on the right foot for his team and set them up, so now we have this gigantic lead coming through.
15 seconds left on Baron buff as CLG will take down the 3rd turret of the game. And honestly, if we're looking for silver linings for Echo Fox, if your opponents get through the entirety of a Baron buff without breaking your tier 2 turret line, which I've officially just cast or cursed, you're feeling pretty good about it. You're still feeling all right if they only take down one of them. You've still got the inhibitor line to fall back against. And as you already mentioned earlier, Zirene, Echo Fox has mounted comebacks before. Many a time they have done it. They team fight together well. This team will not go down without a fight.
Exactly. And right there, they hold 4v5 to make sure Huni can just split push. The Mundo E resets his basic attack, and it makes it so he gets extra AD. So he's a decent split pusher when he's alone with some turrets. And that's going to force them back. And now, it's just the reset on the map. 6,000 gold lead for CLG, but big items coming in here for them. They have the Sterix completed for Darshan, who also has a stopwatch on top of it.
And when you compare that to what you're seeing on the other side, I see 2 different arm guards for Altec and Feng, which, hey, that's a great item. It does some good stuff in laning, yada, yada, yada. That's not an hourglass. That doesn't have that huge team fight impact that it will for both of these champions. Echo Fox still needs a bit more time to bring those online.
Yeah, I think Altec's going to get his right now. Feng is still a tiny bit away from his. He's about 500 more gold or so to complete that one, but like you said,
that can take a minute.
It takes a decent amount of time too. You're right, especially when you have these crows bouncing around that sometimes make it so your support item turns off because that's always fun.
Feels bad, man. As CLG will move up into the enemy jungle, clear out some of the vision. It's 4 turrets compared to 3, so Echo Fox has done a good job not just allowing CLG to run away with the objective game. 2 drakes, excuse me, to 1. So Echo Fox still in control of that element of the game, if nothing else. But CLG will look to try to choke more of this map away from their opponents. They want to control this top side of the jungle. They know Baron is spawning in sub 2 minutes now. If you can keep your opponents blind, if you can keep them guessing, you can bait them into another spot where Biofrost can have another one of those big Rakan engages and set up the team fight.
Yeah, and you're looking at Biofrost to set up the team fight appropriately, Huhi to also put down the right wall, and then on Echo Fox's side, it's not really the engage I'm watching from somebody like Feng, it's the navigation of the team fight of Dardoch, because this guy, I mean, coming off of Rift Rivals, and people are like, wow, why isn't he, like playing, like able to carry his team 1v9? He's the highest level on his team by 2 levels. He's level 16, Huni, Damonte are level 14, he's still doing really well in this game. He's got Stormrazor, and there's Biofrost's engage, but it's not going to hit quite the way they want.
Little bit too deep in the enemy base. The wall does block off too, but CLG just not quite there. Not quite far ahead enough to be able to pull the trigger on that one. It is 2 pretty big ultimates expended by this squad. Huhi's ultimate not going to be back up for another minute or so. Biofrost the same way. Once they have those, they'll be able to fight Baron. Spawning in 30 means that Echo Fox at least feels a little bit of relief as they move themselves towards the Baron pit. They set down some vision of their own. They force CLG back, if only for a moment.
Yeah, and Biofrost, he doesn't have the flash, but he will have the ultimate in time for the Baron spawn, unless they fight before they can get to the Baron. But they've swept all this vision. Dardoch, he has a lot of burst damage. The Black Cleaver will instantly stack up if you throw down a basic attack in their face with the shotgun shells. Each pellet applies a stack of it. So point blank, you get the full stacks, and you have the Stormrazor. He's going for a pretty heavy damage build right now on this Graves to try to front load it and make sure that they can get something done in these fights, because so far, it's just been 4 kills to 14. But there's the Baron being started.
Echo Echo Fox decide to
Feng
go
on the
for it.
side. Watch
Feng's
Feng.
ready to ult into this fight. Huhi could be in a really bad spot. He's going to be caught out. Goes straight into the Zhonya's hourglass as Feng's now going to be taken very low. Does get taken down. A rampage for Stixxay. Huni running away off to the side as ReignOver is able to find the kill onto Altec there in the back as well. Damonte tries to get out. Throws back the whirlwind. Not going to find ReignOver as now he's going to be run down. Huhi comes in. The cavalry arrives, riding the wall all the way, and CLG have found 3 kills for themselves. No casualties just yet. Darshan with the flash into the apprehend. The cone comes in as well. Dardoch will fight to the very end. But Darshan keeps chasing. Goes into the stopwatch. Dardoch still looking to find the damage. Huhi throws out a little bit more. Does not land the seismic shove. Huni still at full HP. CLG will not be able to go for Baron themselves. And they regroup and recall.
Oh my god. Watching Dardoch in these fights, it's just so nerve-wracking, especially for somebody like CLG, because you have to try and stick to this guy who is just navigating them so well. If you aren't getting that initial engage on him, he's going to pump out so much damage with these Juggernauts. It's hard to reach him if you're Darius or the Trundle. But right here, this fight, the start off from Feng, really good flash and getaway there from Huhi on the top side of it. And then Damonte isn't able to actually get much done here in this fight. There's a stopwatch from ReignOver, a little early on the tornado there from Damonte, so he can't get a counter kill onto ReignOver. And then this here, this is kind of the one where, remember when Dardoch had that play where he's like, man, I wish I had 1v4'd on Rengar. This is another one where it's like, he's so close to 1v4ing on this Graves. They are just tunnel visioning him down. And then he gets another stopwatch for it.
Now we find ourselves in the same old song and dance. Baron's up, everybody's alive, and everyone wants to contest. CLG up just shy of 8,000 gold. But Echo Fox may yet still be able to find themselves a fight if CLG does not execute properly. A little bit of damage coming down onto ReignOver there at the start. Biofrost going in, looking to find a knock-up. Dardoch's in some trouble, but still damage going to be coming through back into the CLG lines as well. Huni trying to get himself away. ReignOver now tanking up as Feng can't find a whole lot with the ult just yet, but Echo Fox is able to find one for none so far. Feng's going to be the first one to die on the Echo Fox side as a dunk straight from heaven comes and splits Altec in half. Stixxay goes on a rampage as Huni tries to escape now as well, but there's no way out. It's a triple kill for Darshan. Damonte's the last man standing, and Biofrost will just keep him at bay as CLG heads back towards Baron.
That's going to be another CLG Baron here. They have just been winning these fights, and we talked about how their weakness throughout this split has been those mid-game fights, converting their early advantages into victories. They are well on their way to doing that here right now.
Maximum damage on the Noxian Guillotine tooltip, 1,252. Altec exploded.
Altec actually only has, like, I would say he's got about 1,700 HP. You can't see it right now because he hasn't respawned, is it? There we go. So now he has 1,500. So
it'll kill him from 80%.
But we'll see right here. Huhi went in. Good follow-up from Biofrost, but then right there, Feng now channeling the ultimate. Doesn't really get to anybody. Doesn't really get to fear anybody until afterward. They get the kill over there, but he's still in range of Darshan, who is just showing this isn't just somebody who's like, oh, I picked up Darius because he happens to be meta. He's like, no, no, no. I actually really like this champion. He likes dunking kids. Look at that.
Let's go. You can see the excitement in the man's face as he experiences that moment. Now let's see what CLG can do with this buff. They're knocking at the door. They've got Baron on 4, and Echo Fox has to somehow hold here. The wind wall goes out, but it will not do a thing. Echo Fox retreats. The cone gets placed down to continue the zoning process as CLG takes the first inhibitor effortlessly.
CLG, 11,000 gold lead, 1 inhibitor down, able to push it. They have 2 minutes left on this Baron buff. They have time to play with.
Now there are 3 Ocean Drakes on the side of Echo Fox, so if they can manage to hold and keep their opponents at bay, they will regenerate more quickly, more effectively, without having to go back to base as much. But an 11,000 gold lead is not the kind of lead that you say, okay, we'll take some poke, we'll walk away, we'll heal up. This is the kind of gold lead where you get QR'd and you die.
Yep, and right there, Dardoch caught.
Dardoch could have been in some trouble there, does manage to get himself out. Biofrost takes an extra turret shot, nearly goes down there, but nearly's not going to cut it. Does call in the redemption to make sure he stays at least at a marginally okay health value. CLG take down the tier 2. They decide now's the time to regroup. You still got 90 seconds left on Baron. You can get back to base and mount one more push before it wears off.
And that might be where Echo Fox decide to fight. Question is, are they going to go for the fight where they now have Zhonya's on both of their mages bottom lane, and they have a QSS on Dardoch? So they would be able to get rid of the big crowd control, the big CC from Biofrost that's so disruptive. Or are they going to wait until they have levels on Altec? Because right now, he's down 2 levels on this Heimerdinger. He's down 50 CS. And they've just been not been in a good position here. Dardoch's really the only one on the team who has been in a good spot for the game, because everybody else is kind of feeding.
Yeah, the Heimerdinger Fiddlesticks thing that we talked about that did so well when we saw it at Rift Rivals, 0-3-1, 1-5-2, neither of their lane opponents have died yet this game. Honestly, Stixxay and Biofrost have done a wonderful job responding to this so far and just saying, okay, we understand what this does, we understand how to play against it. They sat under their turret, they farmed up. Going back to what you talked about, Stixxay's chugging potions the whole laning phase just so he makes sure he stays caught up and doesn't fall victim to this. And now he's sitting on 5-0 and 7.
Yeah, and he's in a good spot, especially as this Varus, because one of the big things about Varus is if he's the one person that people need to kill, then they're going to kill him. If you have this Darius, you have these guys that, oh, okay, Huni. He TP'd to the turret and died. So his teleport's on cooldown.
Ooh. Yeah, you really got to be careful about that. Quick tip, if your turret is about to be blown up, turrets are the one thing that does not get protected from death, thanks to the TP being channeled. Drop that on a minion or something.
Yeah. Don't think he expected it to drop that quickly. Huni has just seemed really out of it. Even his Rift Rival games, and you think back to the game before he went to Rift Rivals, where he was up against Licorice, and Licorice was just bodying him in the top lane when he was playing Renekton. And they eventually won that game off the back of the comeback in Dardoch, but look at that, really well played.
Dardoch QSS already been popped, and Biofrost able to go in, find the CC, Stixxay dominating off the early kill onto Altec. Feng tries to ult out, and it actually works. Creative use of Fiddlesticks ultimate to survive. Feng will live to see another day. CLG gets one.
I think, oh, I was like, he had like 5 seconds on his flash, so he's like, I got a Hex Flash out of here.
Gotta be some way out.
Get me out, abort. But he does it, he gets away, and he gets to save his flash. Now has it.
Cooldown on the
Huni's in
Fiddlesticks
trouble.
ulti. At this point, it'll be back up hopefully soon for the side of Echo Fox. Got another minute to go, but the Elder Drake is started up, and CLG has no time to wait for Echo Fox to be ready for this one. Fox will try to come around. The Weaver's Wall blocks Dardoch away. No way to get close enough to the pit to try to steal that one, as ReignOver's got the smite secure, and CLG is buffed up and ready to go as Darshan goes for the fight here against Dardoch. More damage coming in from Huhi, and the dunk is there. Darshan makes sure that one happens as the last tier 3 now comes under siege. CLG, 5 men strong. Echo Fox, their strongest member, dead for the next 45 seconds. Ult's not fully available on the side of CLG, but Fox is going to be hard-pressed to find a fight that works out here.
And that's all 3 inhibitors down. They're going to start having gigantic minion waves. There's TP coming back from Darshan. CLG want to end it here and take down Echo Fox.
Echo Fox try to dance their way around this one. Damonte is going to be taking low. Sterix Gauge already procs. There comes their dunk. The damage goes through. Darshan going to be taken low, but still not down. Still able to find more heals from the Decimate. Altec finds himself in the ground yet again, and the Nexus will join him. CLG, hell of a win.
Darshan elated for that one. Holy moly, the Darius pick up against Huni on that counter matchup for himself. So Darshan, he's got to be feeling really good about the way that went, because he just curb stomped that lane.
11-2-5. Your opponent 0-6-2. That is how you take an advantage that you got early on and just completely run wild with it. He did well in the lane. I talked about how every time we panned up there, it looked like he was forcing Huni back with 5 stacks of bleed on him. He did well in the team fights. He was able to find the dunks time and time again. That was a Darius showcase.
Yeah, and it looked like a strategy from the start for CLG. Once they got the counter pick on the top lane, the early pick Mundo, the 3rd pick coming through for the Darius, then they were able to just use Huhi's lane of the Taliyah. His biggest strength has always been roaming to the side lanes and being less of a selfish player and giving away to his team, and he kept doing that top lane, where Huni didn't really get to play League of Legends.
With that win, CLG are also now tied with Echo Fox in the standings. This team is looking like they're coming together more. The early lead, they translated into a victory. It was a lot of fun to see, and for more on it, let's go ahead and send things over to Avali for an interview with CLG's executioner in the top lane.
Thanks, guys. Darshan, congratulations on that dominant victory for CLG. Tell me about how the game went for you, because to us, it just looked like you were dunking on people.
Yeah, once I got a couple kills, the game was pretty easy, honestly.
What was it like going against Huni?
It just feels like another day in the NA/LCS. I feel like at first, Huni was doing really well, like just dominating other top laners, but I think he's gotten a lot weaker as time has gone on, and he doesn't feel better than any of the other native NA top laners, to be honest.
And CLG did have an off week as Rift Rivals was going on, so how did you guys spend it?
We just spent it practicing. We had triple blocks, just getting as many games in as we can, and things are definitely looking better.
We saw the Heimer come out against you today. Was there anything maybe watching Rift Rivals that you guys were able to pick up?
Yeah, we definitely picked up some of the strats. Heimerdinger is really, really strong, but I think Stixxay and Biofrost just dealt with it really well and didn't feel like much of a problem that game.
Well, Darshan, congratulations again, and thank you. And for more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. Continued struggles for Echo Fox following Rift Rivals as CLG comes away with a big victory over one of our first-place teams. In that, though, I want to immediately talk about Huni, as we had pitted him as an underperformer from Rift Rivals, and here again, the subject of a lot of pressure.
It was what we talked about leading up to it, the game, after Rift Rivals, everything. Huni's getting killed all the time. Darshan typically does well against him. Let's go for a counter pick, and they get Mundo, and they got Darius. And Darius is great into Mundo, and despite that fact, you see Demolish taking for Huni, which does not help you in the laning phase. You're not going to get that many procs off because it's a losing matchup, and the only time you'll be hitting turrets in a winning situation is like you're already winning. And if Mundo is winning versus Darius, you've done your job. So you should pick a rune that helps you survive the early game so that you can win, not pick one that's going to help you take turrets. And lo and behold, you know, the top average is 34% for forward percentage.
Meaning you're even in range or close to that turret, maybe.
Yeah, and Huni was at 17.5%. So he was almost never getting this off during laning phase. He got killed 3 times in laning phase, which, hey, maybe bone plating would have helped a little bit more. Who knows?
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't want to say that, you know, it would have saved his life every single time, but it's the end of the day where it's like you should optimize for the situation. It was a very greedy, disrespectful rune choice against Darshan, who promptly punished him.
And it seems like CLG did their homework in watching Rift Rivals, watching the way that Echo Fox was dismantled by other teams at that tournament, and correctly focused the top lane. With that, though, I want to jump ahead to a 20-minute replay. CLG coming up 3-for-0 in the top lane. A really intelligent collapse here on Echo Fox.
It was a situation where Dardoch was the strongest guy in the game, tried to make a play, went for the flash forward, but then after that, the rest of CLG actually has the inside track on this play. So Dardoch is in full retreat mode. Damonte was pushing up on the top side, and this collapse comes in, and you see
late TP.
Late TP from Huni trying to salvage the situation as there was 5 people already here. The Fiddle and the Heimer coming in from behind, but those are not champions you want collapsing. You want them getting collapsed on, so Heimer has the zone control already down. Not the case. They try and come in too late. They already killed 2 people instantly, and this is happening on the top side of the map. 20 minutes into the game, they're going to finish off Damonte, and it's the easiest turn ever on Baron, and this is just a continued snowball after the early game, which we already talked about being so great for CLG. Once again, went in their favor.
3 people down, lots of damage still on the table. Very healthy members for CLG, means that the Baron comes through. With that, though, we had our very first Heimerdinger of the North American LCS hit the Rift. This was a pick that was used to great success against us at Rift Rivals, so we actually have Jat standing by to hit us with a couple tips about that pick.
Thank you, Dash. So I did a lot of Heimerdinger research after Rift Rivals. I talked to Heisendong, who's played 3,000 games on Heimerdinger, and I learned how complicated this champion is, but also how difficult he is mechanically. And I was tracking some of the things Altec was doing in-game to kind of see how practiced he would be on it. So I'm going to go over some of the early game strategies you can do with Heimerdinger and then get into some of the later game ones. So even just at the start of the game, turrets actually give vision. So what you want to do is actually track 2 brushes at the same time, and you can keep walking back into turrets to refresh their vision. You see that thing going around? That means it's dead, but you wake it back up, and you're keeping the vision alive the entire time. Heimerdinger actually has a lot of vision, so you shouldn't necessarily have to face check with him. Interestingly enough, E grants vision over walls, so you shouldn't have to face check anywhere there. See, Dragon is right there. Or you can just place a turret over the wall to get the same effect. As far as the laning phase goes, you want to practice some of your W paradigms. So what a lot of people do, actually, if you look at the way the skill shot works, is they try and make sure everything hits, but if you do that, it's able to miss. If you just widen it out a little bit, even at the same angle, you're still going to hit about 3 of them, and that's going to proc your area and your Scorch. And one of the turrets early on in the game, or sorry, one of the missiles early on in the game, actually does about 55% of the damage that all of the missiles would. So in lane, this is something Altec was actually doing. You want to spread it out as much as possible, because then if one missile hits both, that's about 110% total damage. So that's the way you want to be poking in lane. But the more difficult parts of Heimerdinger actually come in with the turret combos. So you can see on this enemy dummy, every time a turret goes down, if it's in range, it hits a target dummy, and this white bar at the top slowly charges up into a beam. The beam does way more damage than the base shot, but if you land a grenade, you fully get a laser, or if you land all 5 missiles, you fully get a laser. And what Altec wasn't necessarily doing, but Heimerdingers like Hjarnan were, is they were knowing an E is gonna land, placing a turret beforehand so the first shot is a beam. And it's actually harder than you would think, because the E is a long skill shot, and the Q has to be placed very close to you. So you have to frantically move your mouse back and forward while maintaining skill shot accuracy. And
harder than you think, but Jack can do it. So
on NA ping.
And here's the big combos actually. So one of the recommendations is, you see how small and slow the E skill shot normally is? If you ult it, not only does it bounce, it also doubles in size. So the main combo actually is an ulted E into a Q, but then on top of that, when the next thing's coming down, you will then WQ afterwards and get 3 beams total. But that's actually hard to do. I'm going to try and do it on the other side. Once my turrets regen, you got to keep track of that. You want to be able to get all of them off in a short succession so you get 3 beams. And I'm just going to try it once. Pulling this off in a game scenario is a lot harder than you would think, when you also have to track about who's coming towards you, what your initial cooldowns are, aiming your skill shots. So it's definitely very hard. And I didn't see
not a static target.
I didn't actually see Altec pull this off once in the game. So you're going to ult your RE, then I'm going to Q, then I'm going to W, and I'm going to Q again before it lands. So let's try this. It's this, and then this. And you see there, I was slow on the second turret.
Okay.
So the second turret didn't beam, but if you do it properly, you get the second turret to beam. And then the final little things you can watch is things you're only going to learn after a lot of Heimerdinger time. Like if you're stealing objectives, what most people try and do is they will ult their W into the objective to get all the waves. Look at the damage. That's about 937 damage. I missed a few missiles because it's actually fairly exact.
Right.
If you ultimate your E and put it in the right place, it can triple hit on every single bounce, and then you can put your in afterwards.
Oh, wow.
That's actually about 2,000 damage, double the amount of damage. So that's just an example of a few of the difficult combos you can put off, a few of the vision things you need to be trying to play. And even after 3,000 games of Heimerdinger, Heisendong was still learning things like turret snapshotting your AP based on your celerity. And you can make a 30-minute video just about the little tips and tricks from Heimer. So even though players are playing it right now, like Altec, who is a pro player, it's going to be a while until they're playing it at the top level.
It's
and we're going to step away from Brink right now, but when we return, it's going to be 100 Thieves versus TSM, so don't go anywhere and keep practicing Heimer.